There are 5 main actors in the world of comic books once the comic has been published. First one, and these are in no particular order, the reader. The reader. And I'm going to go into more details on these in a minute. You've got your collector, your dealer, your investor, and your speculator, also known as flipper. Now, the reader buys comics for entertainment. He or she, and I'll just say he for the rest of this video, also enjoys the art and the stories and is a critic of comics. He reads comics for friendships. He can meet other people who read comics and compare notes. He buys new, and he buys ungraded because he wants to read them. Sometimes a reader will buy new comics and then want to go back and get the earlier issues that he missed, and at that point he becomes a little bit of a collector, but still a reader. So he's a buyer. He's a buyer. Then we have the collector, and I've put in orange highlight the main point of each of these players. The collector collects for entertainment and because it's a hobby. He enjoys it. He enjoys the art and the stories, just like the reader. Also like the reader, he enjoys friendships, comparing notes, going to Comic-Cons. He is a buyer. He prefers ungraded because he wants to look at the art and read the stories. And typically he holds forever, whatever forever means. I'm just saying greater than 5 years he'll hold a comic book. I have comics in my collection going back to that I bought in the early 1970s. I still have them. I don't know when I'm going to sell them. This is me. I'm the collector. I'm a collector. Then we have your dealer. The dealer is, he's in this for the income. It's his living. And as with all small businesses, it's risky. The dealer is both a buyer and a seller. He has to buy books for his store, whether it's a brick and mortar store or an online store. And he's also a seller, and these go on at the same time, simultaneously, buying and selling, buying and selling. He doesn't want to hold books for very long, not if he can help it. He sells to readers, collectors, and investors, which I'm going to talk about next. The investor, he buys for future profit and for an inflation hedge, because as we all know, the dollar goes down in value over time. You want to put your money into something. It could be stocks and bonds where you get returns over time. Other collectibles, artwork. The investor holds for, this is kind of arbitrary. I think it's probably 3 years or more until, he gets some kind of return. Or it could be for decades. It could be a long time. Typically, an investor buys high-grade books, high-grade and high-dollar value books. We're talking $10,000 comic books and up. Could be $1,000 for a comic, but the real rich people, they buy them. They buy the big ones, and then they put them away. And those are the really expensive ones, the ones that most of you and me can't afford. He buys now, holds, and sells later for the profit. And it's well, if you know what you're doing, it's low risk. If you aren't quite sure what you're doing, there is some risk. Comic books could go out of favor in the future, especially individual titles. But if you look at the golden age comics, there are some that really have never gone down. I forget what you call them. They're just they're keys. They're keys, and you can hold them for a long time, and they won't go down in value. Then you've got your speculator. Speculator seeks profit. It's pretty high risk because the market can turn on you. You can buy hot books, and after a year or so, they may not be hot anymore, and you've lost money on those books. The speculator buys low and sells high, just like someone in the stock market. They hold generally for less than 3 years, I would say. Sometimes just a few months, just long enough to get those comic books graded and sold. And they do buy ungraded, and they sell them graded. They have to know what to buy. They have to know what's hot. They sell to collectors and other speculators and investors. These are your flippers. Every one of these is required in comic books. These are all necessary people. There are crossovers. Very few people are 100% in any one of these categories. I'm probably about a 80% collector, 20% investor. That's me. So figure out where you are and let me know in the comments below. And I hope that this was useful, and thank you for watching.